For me, it's 50-50 right now, which is going to happen first because you already have Waymo robotaxis, which gives me confidence that, they've already paved the way for regulation. And with now the excitement about FSD and the improvement being more linear, who knows how fast it could happen. But at the same time, with Tesla Bot, you can put a Tesla Bot into an enclosed situation within a factory. Those walls that they put up that employees don't go past. Like, you can put a robot in there, and if it's get its head cut off, you're not going to get sued as a company. So, whereas robotaxis are putting human lives at risk, you can put a Tesla bot into a situation where there are no human lives at risk. And so that makes me wonder if that could happen faster. But there's a lot more control outputs. You got fingers and all sorts of things on the limbs. And the argument often for robotaxi happening first is that FSD or Tesla bot is an extension of the robotaxi. So I'm really torn down the middle on which one is going to happen
I think they
first.
diverge here and kind of go separately in the not too distant future. That there will be things that are learned from robotaxis that do help in the project for Optimus Bot, and obviously they share hardware. Um, but I think that the actual software that's running on one versus the other are they're going to be significantly different. And so yeah, I think that they'll kind of have separate timelines that are somewhat independent of each other. But I'm really curious what you think on the stock and how you see the future changing. Um, what are the catalysts? Where do we see people start to really revalue the company?
Well, I'm interested because, it has been moving sideways for 3 years now. And what's interesting about that is we've seen margins compress significantly. I think the operating margin in 2021 peaked at 16.9%. And now forecast for Q1 is going to be like 6%. So that's a huge consolidation. And yet we've moved sideways. Like, we're still in the same ballpark price. And so how does that happen? Well, you have Morgan Stanley today coming out and saying that 22% of their price target is actually the core auto business. So Wall Street is actually starting to assign some of these future robotaxi revenues to Tesla's valuation, and they're starting to bring that into the fold. So that's actually what's been keeping Tesla's price up almost in the last 3 or 4 years. Same with energy growth. It's also been volumes. They've been delivering more cars, so even though margins are coming down, they've been delivering more cars, and that's what's keeping it up. But now, if you have any kind of reversal on margins, or if you do get the Robotaxi or the FST, we could see another parabolic run because we know how fast Tesla does go up. And so I think the sentiment in the Tesla community right now is pretty low. And I just think that, FSD V12 is a lot of what people have been clinging to recently. And throughout all of the hype in 2020 and 21, you had a lot of people go all in. And a lot of people have become emotionally invested in Tesla, which is something that investors always try to shy away from. And yet it's happened to all of us because we're also attached to the mission. We're also attached to fighting the FUD. And that really creates emotions. So, Elon said he's never lost money for investors. I don't think he's going to lose money here either. But yeah, what do you think about all that?
Yeah, the comment that you made about people assigning, really putting a lot of hope in V12. I hope that people don't get burned by that. Like, I think that for the near term, it is something that I paid very close attention to because I think that it's going to have long term positive impact on the stock. And I think that V12 has the potential to get us a lot closer. Like, I think that V12 is the architecture that really has the potential to get us to a robotaxi capability. I just don't see that being something that's going to happen really quickly. And so I hope that people aren't putting too much trust and hope and faith in that as being something that moves the stock, today, this week, this month. I think that maybe over the course of this year, it has an impact, but it's just the beginning of the year still. And so, yeah, and I'm sure that people are. And so that's, personally, I'm not looking at anything on those sort of time frames. My investment horizon is 5 to 10 years. And yeah, I don't expect any of these things to give us a huge move in the next 3 to 6 months. Yeah, and I don't expect a huge move in the next 12 months. So, I don't know.
What percentage do you think that FSD V12 gets to Robotaxi? Because it's so hard for me to comprehend it not working out when you think of the how they're training it. It's like it makes so much sense. When you have a problem in this area, show it video of those scenarios, and then that gets better. And then you just continue to do that in all facets of the driving. I mean, there's not that many. There's rules for the road, and so that helps you train a computer to drive on the road. Like we have these rules, so if you can short enough video data, I just don't see how it doesn't get there. It just doesn't make sense
Yeah,
to me. So,
I think it is like best case scenario, it does. But the way that I think about it is that there's also a lot of value that people can get out of the full self driving software, even as just an advanced driver assist system that has the potential. Tesla has a lot of potential to make a lot of money off of just that, off of just a level two system that's really, really good. Um, and right now, the reason that they're not is because that's not the goal, and because they don't want too many people to be using a system, um, that exposes while they're developing it, that exposes that system to more safety risk. And so I think that, like, there's a very possible future, and I'm not saying that this is high likelihood, but this is definitely, I think, within 30-40% chance that several years from now, Tesla, we'll say 2026, 2027, somewhere in there, that Tesla doesn't have robotaxis yet, but they have a really, really good level 2 system, and they are getting a lot of revenue. The price might be lower. It could be something that you could subscribe to for 20 or 30 or 40 or $50 a month. And more people will opt in, they'll make more revenue from it, and it could be something that is then licensed to other car manufacturers. And so it could be a huge overall SaaS line item in the financials of the company that's almost pure, 100% margin revenue, that does have a large positive impact on the stock, but isn't necessarily all the way to the, you know, infinity situation that we think about when we
but
talk about robotaxis.
But Hans, don't settle yet, right? Because V12 just came out. Let's not settle because when you think about the driver
Mhm.
assist system, how much time a day do you spend in your car? Maybe an hour. If you go all the way to robotaxis, now you have 24 hours that you can deploy that vehicle. So it's almost like a 10, 20 times more profit it's going to generate for Tesla because you can use it, the vehicle, so much more. It's now 10 times as valuable. So it's like, I'm not ready to settle for just level two future yet. Like V12 just came out. I want to see how this thing trains. It just kills me to talk about just driver assist.
I mean, obviously, I hope that we get robotaxis and that when we get there, there's no one else. And so we have like incredible pricing power and all those things. And that, yeah, you can contribute your vehicle to the fleet and it can earn you money when you're not using it. Like all of those things are things that we hope for. But as an investor, I also want to think about, if that scenario doesn't happen, am I still going to make significant returns in my investment? And so I think about, that scenario as well. And I think that there's really positive upside regardless of how far we get down that road all the way to robotaxis.
Yeah, and I think you're right. If it doesn't happen, there's still money to be made in the investment. You see some of the forecasts for Tesla deliveries in 2030 of like I think 9 million is as high as it goes on Wall Street, whereas Tesla's internal goal is 20
Mhm.
million. So there's still a lot of upside whether or not robotaxis happen or not. But all it takes is one city, Austin or San
Yep.
Francisco, to say, "Hey, Tesla, you know, come try it out," and then we'll see how it goes. But
I was curious, what do you think on, if we get the next generation vehicle announcement and they say, Elon will give some sort of rough target on how many millions of units a year they expect to sell of that. Do you think that that is something that will move the stock, or is that more or less baked into the expectations that analysts have? Like, do we have to get that just to stay on track and meet expectations and just to maintain a flat stock price, or do we get some sort of a move out of that?
I mean, not much. I feel like Elon's word has kind of gone down the chimney a little bit. But at the same time, when it's about something like the $25,000 car, I do think that could move the stock because that's what analysts want to know about, and that's what they want to see from Tesla. They've been dying to see it. But as Mexico got postponed, I feel like the stock has been hurting because of that. So yeah, I do think a forecast on the next gen vehicle and confirmation that it's happening. Elon said that the production line is unlike anything we've ever seen before. So hearing some numbers, I think, would make it feel pretty real. And I think you have people start to look forward and start to buy in. But that's just my opinion. What do you think? So unfortunately, Hans and I were disconnected. So this is the end of the interview. But I hope you guys let me know in the comments if any thoughts were inspired in you by our conversation. And I will be speaking with Hans every Thursday. So make sure you guys are subscribed, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.